Okay, so I'm on page 40 in this one. Top of page 100 in this one. Okay, I'm sorry if you've got another edition. Hopefully you can listen to the end of the last one and figure out where we are. So, Mr. Hyde is clawing at his own throat, trying to sound civilised, wrestling against the approaches of the hysteria. Again, linked to madness and something crazy to do with the mind. I understood a draw, and then he's cut off. But here I took pity on my visitor's suspense, and some perhaps on my own growing curiosity. There it is, sir, said I, pointing to the drawer, where it lay on the floor behind a table and still covered with a sheet. He sprang to it, please highlight the verb sprang there, and then paused and laid his hand upon his heart. I could hear his teeth grate with the convulsive action of his jaws, and his face was so ghastly to see that I grew alarmed, both for his life and reason. Again, crazy. So please highlight that his teeth began to grate with the convulsive action of his jaws. Everything seems like a physical, like, reaction, like it's, if you were filming this, you'd be massively overacting it if you were Mr. Hyde. And you've also got to remember that Lanyon is a Victorian gentleman. All of this is breaking all of the etiquette rules. It's the middle of the night also. This is very, very irregular. So he then continues, says, "Compose yourself," said I. He turned a dreadful smile, please highlight, to me, and, as if with the decision of despair, plucked away at the sheet. At sight of the contents, he uttered one loud sob of such immense relief that I sat petrified. Please highlight petrified. So Lanyon is now terrified. This is like some kind of creature, monster thing who's very excited about the stuff that's in the drawer. And the next moment, in a voice that was already fairly well under control, "Have you a graduated glass?" he asked, which is a scientific thing that he needs. I rose from my place with something of an effort and gave him what he asked. He thanked me with a smiling nod, measured out a few minims of the red tincture, and added one of the powders. The mixture, which was at first of a reddish hue, began in proportion as the crystals melted to brighten in colour, to effervescence audibly, so it's fizzing really loudly, and to throw off small fumes of vapour. Suddenly, and at the same moment, the ebullition ceased. So suddenly all the chemical reaction that's going on in there, that's the ebullition, ceased, and the compound changed to a dark purple, which faded again more slowly to a watery green. My visitor, who had watched these metamorphoses with a keen eye, smiled, set down the glass upon the table, and then turned and looked upon me with an air of scrutiny. Just making up words. I was trying to do the turn and look at the same time, but then I wasn't reading the book. So he's made his potion. He seems calm now. "And now," said he, "to settle what remains. Will you be wise? Will you be guided? Will you suffer me to take this glass in my hand and to go forth from your house without further parley? Or has the greed of curiosity too much command of you?" So you'll see that this whole section that I'm reading here is all highlighted. This is a big section. Now, Hyde has made his potion, and he's now sitting there suddenly in control of this, and he says to Lanyon, "So what are you going to do?" Loads of questions. Says, "Are you going to be wise? Will you be guided? Will you suffer me to take this glass from your house and with no further parley? So we won't talk about it anymore. I can leave this house with this potion, and you don't need to know what it was for, why I needed it, and how this has got anything to do with Henry Jekyll. Or will you be wise? Do you want the information? Will your curiosity get the better of you?" Now, I'm a human and I'm really nosy. There is no way in hell I would be able to let this man walk out of my house without finding out what the heck that potion is. So basically he's kind of playing on this human need to find out whatever the mystery or the secret is, if it's so dramatic. So, "Think before you answer, for it shall be done as you decide. As you decide, you shall be left as you were before, and neither richer nor wiser, unless the sense of service rendered to a man in mortal distress may be counted as a kind of riches of the soul. Or, if you shall so prefer to choose, a new province of knowledge and new avenues to fame and power shall be laid open to you here in this room upon the instant, and your sight shall be blasted by a prodigy to stagger the unbelief of Satan." So Lanyon has a choice here. You can either let me out this house and say that you don't want to know what happens, and you can toddle along with your ordinary, very dull life, or you can, but there's no going back from it, you can find out what this potion does, and poof, your mind will be blown and you will see everything in the whole world like you've never seen it before. I mean, what's he going to do? So, he's using really big, grand terms to talk about it. So I've highlighted the whole thing, but I've underlined fame and power. This is something that Victorian scientists, people who were trying to, explorers, that's the word I was trying to think of, anybody who wanted to be a celebrity was trying to do something that had never been done before. So this is like the ultimate thing, that if you were that kind of person, that's what you were trying to do. So the idea that by allowing his mind to be expanded by this experience, he will find out things that would stagger even Satan. Wow, big statement there. So I'm now very top of page 41 in this one. I think it's page 102 on the next one, yeah. So, "Sir," said I, affecting a coolness that I was far from truly possessing, "you speak enigmas, and you will perhaps not wonder that I hear you with no very strong impression of belief. But I have gone too far in the way of inexplicable services to pause before I see the end." So that's Lanyon talking, and he's like, he's trying to act calm when he's not, first of all, and when he says you speak enigmas, he's saying you're talking in riddles. I don't know what you're talking about. However, I'm too far into this now. I will find out I want to know what the potion does. "It is well," replied my visitor. "Lanyon, you remember your vows. What follows is under the seal of our profession. And now, you who have so long been bound to the most narrow and material views, you who have denied the virtue of transcendental medicine, you who have derided your superiors, behold." Okay, I know I'm dragging out this really great scene, but that's my green bit that I've just read there with a big star, okay? Now this, I've got written down the side, is the big reveal, because he's about to drink the potion. So, could you please circle the words narrow and material views? You've denied the virtue. Virtue is like a goodness, a purity, something that's good for mankind, of transcendental medicine. And you've derided your superiors. So remember when he called it unscientific balderdash, and he just basically said that Jekyll was mad. This is Mr. Hyde telling him that once I drink this potion, you will have to take back all of those things that you have said about other types of science. So, behold, he put the glass to his lips and drank at one gulp. A cry followed. He reeled, staggered, clutched at the table and held on, staring with injected eyes, gasping with open mouth. And as I looked, there came, I thought, a change. He seemed to swell. His face became suddenly black, and the features seemed to melt and alter. And the next moment I'd sprung to my feet and leaped back against the wall, my arm raised to shield me from the prodigy, my mind submerged in terror. "Oh God," I screamed, and "Oh God," again and again, for there, before my eyes, pale and shaken and half fainting and groping before him with his hands like a man restored from death, there stood Henry Jekyll. Okay, so I suspect a lot of you, before we even started reading this novel, knew that Henry was Jekyll. No, sorry, it's because I've got an incoming call from a number that I don't know. I'm going to have to answer that. Okay, listen, I'm going to get back. That's the big reveal, right? The big reveal. I'm coming back.